All right. Thank you. Well, I have all my guests on, which is good. Ha ha ha. I know you probably can't respond to me, Frank, but I know it was Robbie Burns' Day yesterday, and we forgot to celebrate it, man.
There, but yeah, I guess we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot all about it.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I never forget that. Cynthia reminded me
So
yesterday.
you have to do a belated Robbie Burns segment.
Yeah, I'll mention it, and then you can yeah.
I can supply the scotch.
Okay, always good. Hey, it's got to drag you down here. So what happens is okay, we're live with a 9-second countdown, a 9-minute second countdown, 9-minute countdown. We are live with a countdown. If you got your ears on tonight and you're here for the show, you're in for one fantastic show. The Flannel panel is rocking and rolling. They're just chomping at the bit to get at things tonight. I've got a small echo going on here. I think that's from my phone, so that's gone. It's a good thing. So if you do have your ears on and you're listening early and you're just tuning in, we have okay. We have. What was I gonna say? I got a text message. I'll be right back. Just 1 second. Do do. All right, everybody. Like I said, I was just doing an audio test, so everything's good to go tonight. We are clear for takeoff tonight. It's a good thing. It is a good thing. Let me fix some lighting here. We're going to get the intro rolling here in about a minute and a half, and then we'll be right with you guys. So hang tight. Go get yourself a coffee, a glass of scotch, popcorn, whatever you want.
Maureen and Jeff will be joining us tonight because they are at a wine tasting tonight.
Oh, nice.
So they're going to miss us.
Nice.
I told them I was jealous that they're out and about having so much fun.
Well, Frank's got his nutcracker there. Good. Well, I hope that's not a big ordeal. But ba-dum-bum. It's always a big ordeal, right, Cynthia?
It's always a big ordeal.
My life is a big ordeal.
You are a big ordeal.
Who's excited? Are you guys excited? You guys look excited. Everybody looks excited tonight. I'm like a kid waiting for Christmas here. I got another minute and 40 seconds before I can roll things. I gotta wait. My moderator told me I cannot start until that clock kicks down to 0. So we're almost there, folks. Like I said, settle in. We've got some folks that are away tonight, and we've got some new folks joining us tonight. So And welcome to Espresso Shots Live. My name is John. I will be your host. You can call me Jitter Juice Johnny if you like, or you can just call me John. If you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome to Espresso Shots Live. Welcome to the family. If you're tuning in and you've been here many a time, welcome back home. I'm going to pull my headset off today, just take that down a bit. We've got a great show lined up for you folks tonight. I'm having myself a glass of water this evening. Now, if you tuned in earlier, my countdown, normally I have a screen done up. Tonight I had a picture of meatloaf, and I wrote Espresso Shots Live with ketchup on it. Cynthia made meatloaf for supper, and we played the album Meatloaf during supper to honor both the singer for Meatloaf and then the producer for Meatloaf that are both no longer with us, unfortunately. So that goes out to Meatloaf themselves. So if you're a Meatloaf fan, hope you enjoyed that little piece there. Excuse me, I think I still got some meatloaf in my throat.
You must.
Cynthia is our moderator tonight. She is on the couch live. Say hi, Cynthia.
Good evening, everybody.
And thanks for making the meatloaf. I said thanks for making the meatloaf.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was fantastic. You gotta love meatloafs. Gotta love meatloafs. So anyway, without delay, we won't talk about too much because we got a full show tonight. So I think we'll get right into the flannel panel. But before we do that, let's touch bases with Happy McSunny and see what the weather is looking like in our region.
Happy McSunny is brought to you by Jake Bell Lake, the Life is Good store, where the forecast is mostly sunny.
Good Wednesday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Happy McSunny, and I'm reporting to you live from the Westport and the Rideau Lakes area. The weather over the next 5 days, we're going to stay in the minus 20s at night, warming up a little bit during the day, and a chance of snow on Thursday. So tune in tonight for tonight's flannel panel. I hope you're prepared for it. Do you have your laptop powered up? Do you got your earbuds? Do you have something to drink? And do you have your fingers ready to participate in tonight's show? Back to you in the studio, John.
Well, I'm certainly ready, so without further ado, let's get this show rolling.
Alright, this is Casey Ferguson of The Casey Ferguson Show, and you're listening to the Flannel Panel, watching the Flannel Panel, doing everything to the Flannel Panel. Well, you better not be doing that.
All right, welcome back. So tonight we're going to talk about preparedness. How prepared are you for an emergency? How prepared for you or for things that have thrown you away? I sent this question to my panelists earlier in the week for them to think about, and we're going to discuss it tonight. So before I pull the panelists into the show, I'm just going to run the quick question for you so you can get up to speed as to what we're talking about tonight. And by all means, chirp in. Cynthia is following everybody on Espresso Shots Live and on the Cottage Coffee House, and I'm following on What's on Westport. Nobody's on YouTube tonight. It's there, but nobody has responded to that. So if you want to interact, hop over to one of those pages, and we can definitely answer your questions or get you in on the conversation for sure. So let's here's what the panelists had to contend with this week for a question. Good evening, and welcome to the Flannel Panel. My name is John, and in tonight's episode, our panelists will be asked to speak on the following topic. Ever so important nowadays is certainly climate change and how we respond to it, or what our readiness or state of readiness is when we know a crisis is coming our way. Now, some crises you just can't predict with any certainty. They just happen, and some you have time to plan for. A couple examples that come to mind in this region would be 2018 September, Dunrobin, Ottawa way. Tornado comes in. There is a bit of a brief warning. Most people dismiss it. I shouldn't say most people, but some people dismiss it, thinking it's going to be a heavy windstorm. Turns out to be a very dangerous tornado. Recently here in the Rideau Lakes area and most parts of Ontario, eastern Ontario, a heavy storm was predicted with snow, lots of snow, and we got it. How prepared are you when it comes to things like this? Do you have an emergency kit in your car? When you leave your home in the wintertime, do you have warm clothing with you on, or do you just think you're going out from one home to a warm car to another warm home or to a warm business location? How prepared are you? It was brought to my attention the other week that I shouldn't say the other week. It was brought to my attention the other day that there were so many calls for help on Facebook saying, can you help me out? I don't have this. I don't have that. I need this. I have cash in hand. Can you help? And I'm left to wonder, and I agree with the person that brought this to my attention, is how prepared are people for situations like this? Now, I know you can't prepare for everything. And yes, being neighborly and helping out your fellow neighbor or person in distress is what we do. It's our nature. But when we're all dealing with looking after our own homes and our own families, Facebook is typically the last thing we check until we get our own personal things resolved. So as bad as I feel for people that are calling out for help, should they have been a bit more prepared? So my question tonight for the panelists are, do you think that people are prepared for situations like this? And are you prepared for situations like this? And what kind of things do you prepare for? And what kind of things do you think about when you know that there's a storm coming in, or there may be a crisis in the midst? So let us know tonight and join in. We'd love to hear from you guys. All right. So I'm going to pull our panelists in tonight, and I'll introduce everybody to you. And let's roll up our sleeves and get down to this topic. So welcome, Flannelists. So we have again back this week, Flynn again. So Flynn again. And we have Fred joining us tonight, and we have Alicia joining us tonight. So welcome to the Flannel panel, folks.
Thank you.
How's
Hello,
everybody doing?
everyone.
Awesome.
Awesome. Good. Fred, how
Same
you
with
making
Finn
up?
Jr. Finn Jr.'s doing
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing good.
Good. All right. So let's get into this. I'm going to start with Alicia because you have some background with Scouts Canada. So the question really is, do you think that people in general are prepared for emergencies? And do you think it's your responsibility to help people in distress when they're not prepared for emergencies? Thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think it's a really big question, and I think there's a lot to unpack there. I think the details and the specifics of how you prepare for a crisis, for an emergency, for a weather event, there are standards there, but the specifics are as unique as the individual, as the home, as the emergency. But I think one of the things that is a constant in preparation is the method that you use to prepare for an emergency. And the method that I like to use, the method that I have had the best experience with, is imagining the worst case scenario. So what is the worst possible thing that could happen, and working backwards from that, chipping away at that. So we might say snow, there's snow coming, and I have a shovel. But that's not enough. Let's use the example of running out of toilet paper, for example. You might say, worst case scenario, I run out of toilet paper. What do I do to prepare for it? I have enough toilet paper, but that's not really enough. That's not really your worst case scenario. Right. Your worst case scenario would be, I've eaten a gut bomb, grease bomb Taco Bell for lunch. I've been at work all day. I come home at night, I sit down, and then I'm out of toilet paper. Take it a couple steps further. It's 10 o'clock at night. The neighbors are all in bed, and the stores are closed. One step further, it's a holiday tomorrow. It's going to be 24 hours before I can buy anything. So imagining that worst case scenario and how you prepare for it is a completely different method.
Right.
And I think that's what's lacking when everyone prepares for it. And it's not a natural process, but that's what we have to do. What's your worst case scenario? Chip away at it and work backwards.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Fred, let's go to you. So that's a pretty good situation if you can be that prepared and have everything. Do you think people are in that boat?
I think in general, we live our life and we prepare our lives from past experiences. So, we know we're going to get snow. We don't know how much snow we're going to get. But, we had a Snowmageddon event here 2 weeks ago, and I never seen this much snow in my life. I see people out there shoveling and people with their snow blowers and people getting their driveways plowed. Then I see people crying out for help on Facebook that they're stuck and they need a driveway plowed. If you're in that situation where you don't have a plan, then you're not prepared. Like, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan B. You have to live your life from experiences with a bit of redundancy built into it. And redundancy means when they build an aircraft, they put 2 fuel pumps in it in case one fails, or if a power station, they have a second transformer in case one fails. So there's always a backup plan. And if you don't have a plan B, you don't have a plan A. And you can't expect your neighbors to help you out because they do it in good faith, not from expectations. And I think if your neighbors expect you to help you out, I think that's a bad situation to be in. I think it's a good feeling to help them out, but not be expected to help them out.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Fred. That expectation that is being created, and people, so common on social media, especially Facebook, expect that when they ask for help, that people will help because that's the way things work now. There's not people taking their own responsibility. So, yeah, a really great point. Frank, you want to chirp in and you and your buddy there tell me, hey, first of all, how was your Robbie Burns Day yesterday?
It was quiet. I actually forgot all about it until I saw it on Facebook.
Did you reach out and say, hey, it's Robbie Burns Day and I got no scotch? Or...
Yeah, well, no, never had a scotch here, but yeah, it's too bad I didn't get to celebrate it.
Okay, so what's your thoughts? Fred and Alicia both make very good points.
Yeah, I think they hit everything. Got it all right. But it's the homeowner. A homeowner has a sense of responsibility, and when it snows like that, we are given enough time to prepare for it, and to get all the snow out of the way, you got to make sure you got the gas. You got the gas. You check your snow blower, make sure you got it going. You got snow shovels. You got friends around. You got to make all those arrangements ahead of time. The Weather Network does give us at least 3-4 days when there's a bomb like that, and it gives us plenty enough time to prepare. Now, whether everybody does it, I don't know. But as a homeowner, I prepare, and you have to prepare, or you're not going to survive. Now, it's not just the homeowner that's got to prepare, but you also got to think about the logistics chain too. The supermarkets, the grocery stores, all the retailers, they got to prepare for these things too to make sure they have the salt for us. They have, the gas pumps are filled up. There's propane out there, whatever, batteries, flashlights. They got to prepare for us too. If they don't prepare for us, we're screwed.
Yeah. So where does the buck stop with us, and where does it take over from a business point of view? Like, good point, gas, hardware, food, all these things that obviously we expect to have, But hey, sometimes the stores aren't going to be open. They can't get supplies. Things happen. Things are happening now. Fred, tell me, is there any responsibility at all other than ourselves? Are governments or businesses responsible as well for our well-being?
So, my honest opinion on that is that I don't think the government's responsible for me. I don't think businesses are responsible for me. I think I'm responsible for myself. I have an obligation to pay my taxes, and I have an obligation to make sure that my shelves are full in my own pantry. But there's no loyalty or obligation from the government to look after me. They look after society. They can help the general people out, or the mass of the people out, but they can't help me out personally. There's nothing they can do. If I expect the government to help me out or bail me out, I'm going to be in a dire situation. I'm going to have nothing, no plan, no nothing. It's not right to blame the government for all my problems or my lack of planning because there's snow or there's no food in my pantry.
Yep. Yeah, I think the government has a website, and it's called getprepared.gc.ca, and they give you all kinds of tips on their site. If you're not sure how to prepare for situations, you do that. The other question, I'm going to throw this at you, Alicia. So let's say you're prepared, and you know that's cold and the snow coming in, and your propane company says, hey, we're not going to fill you up. We know you're on autofill, but you're getting a better price point than the guy down the road, so we're going to leave you. You run out of propane. Your lines freeze up, you have a problem in your home, and now the propane company says, hey man, that's an insurance issue, it's not our issue. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, this is actually something that my husband and I anticipated, especially in this year where the cost of propane and the supply of propane is a bit questionable. We installed a wood stove this year, and we have 2 kerosene heaters in the garage that we can fire up at any time, and we have electric heaters that we can plug in anywhere we want to. So, for example, today I've been running the wood stove all day, and the furnace hasn't kicked on once. And I know that is certainly there's a certain amount of privilege involved in that, and just the expense of putting those things in, if you will. But I think, thinking about, again, your worst case scenario, your propane gets shut off. What is that going to look like for you? And what can you do ahead of time to prepare yourself to keep your house heated, to keep your pipes heated, to reduce your costs? And there are sometimes our expenses on the front end, they're a bit hard to swallow, but we are so grateful that we made this move in the fall to put this wood stove in, because we aren't using any propane right now. So it's all about thinking ahead. It's all about that preparation piece and not waiting until it happens. It's the difference between being proactive versus purely reactive. And sitting in the proactive state it puts you in a much better position than purely reactive.
Any more thoughts, guys, on that question, Fred or Frank? No?
No, I think it was a great point.
No.
Okay. Listen, I'm gonna throw something out there, and I'm gonna let you guys think about it for a second. Then I'm gonna play a quick 30-second spot from our sponsor this week, and we'll come back. We'll do a bit of a rapid fire on this topic. So we all agree that it's our responsibility to get things dealt with, not really the government's. It's our responsibility. So let's take a look. Let's set this scenario up here. I'm going to take you guys off, but you'll see what I'm talking about, and I'll be out of the screen as well. Okay, so right here, we know what's happening with this convoy, whatever you want to call it, heading to Ottawa. And it's heading there, probably will start arriving Thursday, Friday, they're calling for Saturday. You take a look at that map, and you're coming down the 401, and what about if this convoy decides to take a left turn on the highway to Westport and take that route? Or what about if some of the other groups that are part of this movement, if you will, or whatever you want to call it, decide to take that route? Now, I know in Kingston, they're barricading off Gardner's Road to keep people from coming into Kingston both ways at MacGyver and Gardner. In Ottawa, they've come up with a plan. His name, I forget what it is, but they have a plan. I watched that today. Is there a plan for Westport if something goes amok in this corridor? Do we have a plan? Because we're sitting on the eve of a big deal here, and I'm not sure how prepared people actually are for what is coming, or if they believe what is coming. I'm not on one side of this or the other. I'm just in the middle of what could be a bad thing coming down the pipeline. So let's run an ad for our sponsor, and we'll come back and talk to you guys.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly Pringle, and I am an associate advisor with the Cooperators Insurance. I help families with life insurance, investments, and commercial business insurance. I unfortunately see the side of the industry a lot where people are not prepared for emergencies and the things that life can throw at you, and it's very sad. It's unfortunate when it happens. So please, conversations like this are easy to have before something terrible happens. They're very painful and sad to have if you wait too late. So don't let your plan B be GoFundMe. All right, reach out to an advisor like myself. I'm happy to help you if you have any questions. Ask Kim, visit my website, give me a call. I'm here to help, all right? AskKim.ca.
And thanks for that sponsorship, Kim. That's awesome. So, Frank, let's start with you on this one. Where's your head at with this one?
Was that Fred or Frank?
Finn. Finn again.
Oh, Finn. Geez, you brought up a good point. I really, I know about the convoy, but I had no idea the magnitude of it and the crap it's stirring up. But if for it to come through Westport, I imagine we're not prepared for it.
Fred?
Well, if they come to Westport, I think you should open up a coffee shop.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The first thing that I would do for you.
Exactly. Jake by the lake, life is good.
I think this whole thing is morphed out of proportion, out of context. I think it's the fringe people now that are hanging on. There's only 17% of truckers who are unvaccinated in Canada that can't cross the border. I think they maybe bring in the army and throw them all in jail, because I think that it's an absolutely ridiculous thing that they're doing and something I totally disagree with.
Alicia?
Yeah, I think today I opened up a CBC article about the founder, if you will, or the starter of this movement, the convoy coming across Canada, and she spoke very, very strongly and strictly about those that are latching themselves on to that convoy, onto the protests, that are trying to create or spark violence, or to take it in a direction that she didn't mean for it to be. I completely support everyone's right to protest if they disagree with what's happening. I think that that's a healthy place to be in democracy, as long as it stays safe, as long as it doesn't produce violence. And if it were to come through Westport, I hope that it wouldn't. I can't imagine that it would. I think that's a really interesting question. I don't know what I would do. I think if it was a healthy and peaceful protest, I support their right to do it. I might not agree with what with their points, but I think that supporting their right to do so is important. So as long as they're not causing damage and they come through quickly, so be it.
And Fred, how prepared do you think are the people in this convoy when they get to Ottawa? How prepared do you think these trucks and these vigilantes, if you will, that are now latching on to this convoy, how do you think prepared they are for their visit to the capital?
Well, I'm sure once they get there, they have no plan, but I think it's going to be herd mentality. And I think it might just turn into an obscene situation where people feed off each other's anger, and then other fringe groups come out and help feed the fuel or fuel the fire, and it might get out of control. It's basically based on, hey, I can't cross the border because I'm not vaccinated, and it's turned into a full-fledged media circus now, and here we are worried about all these trucks coming through Westport. It's everybody has a right to protest, but not everybody has a right to be stupid.
Yeah. And I'm not worried about these trucks coming through Westport. I'm just trying to set up a scenario that what could happen. Maybe that we can't get any food in Kingston because there's so much activity between here and Ottawa. The worst case scenario would be that they tried to come through here, because if you had to get out of here to get to a hospital,
Yeah.
go somewhere, it would make life difficult for you. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just wondering if there are groups of people that don't want to be on Highway 401 and they go, this is definitely a quicker route. We could get to Highway 7 and get into Ottawa this way. We may see an influx of traffic this weekend in Westport. Hey, and maybe you're right, Fred. Maybe it might be a positive thing. The best tourism program we've ever seen in the off-season in Westport.
You never know.
And
Bigger
again,
than
with it, I think, think worst case scenario. So if we're actually considering what that might mean for us, do you have what you need if supplies are limited in our area?
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts. Frank, give us your final thoughts on preparedness, and not so much preparedness, but other people's ability to get through life successfely.
Well, it starts at an early age. It's thinking about retirement too, and I've put away for years so that I can enjoy my life in my golden years. I've always planned for when it comes to disasters like the snowstorm. We always make sure we're sufficiently supplied with food in the house. Flashlights are always charged. We have batteries. It's just one of those things. And I think for one to survive in life, you have to be prepared for those instances at all times. So, and like I said, it starts from an early age, and you adapt it and you get better at it, and then it just becomes a normal day of life. You just keep going on with it.
Nice. Alicia?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that Frank has said. Like I've said, the method of considering your worst case scenario and being proactive and not being a victim. Although I hesitate to use that term, but you have to be proactive about the things that are happening around you. You have to think ahead. You have to prepare yourself. When I think about the snowstorm, there are individuals that only have a snow shovel and no snow blower, and they have to get to work in the morning. Well, what would I have done? If it was coming down that fast, I would have set an alarm and gotten up a couple times in the night and cleared my snow a few times before it got too deep. Exactly. Because I had to get to work. Yeah. And that is the kind of activity, that is the kind of actions that you have to take control of your life and to take control of your well-being. I know there are so many different circumstances that people deal with, but I have a hard time with, it's too deep now. I didn't know it was coming, and now I don't know what to do. Well, you probably should have shoveled a few times between now and 11 o'clock the next day. So, again, I think there are so many different variations to that, and I don't want to offend anyone, but be proactive, not reactive. Take control of your surroundings and of your well-being.
Yeah. Very well said, Alicia. I like not being a victim, not playing the victim card, because we are all our own architects of what we create.
Absolutely.
And get up at 4 a.m. and shovel. Man, it's a lot easier to shovel a couple inches of snow than it is to cover 50 inches of snow.
Exactly. And we did that here. Actually, my husband injured his knee the day before the snowstorm hit. And we called a friend that day to make sure that they could come help us. And we did it 2 times on our driveway in the middle of the storm to make sure we could get out. We didn't wait till it was deep and heavy.
Yep.
So,
all right.
Do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. Fred, final thoughts? You've been awfully polite tonight. I thought you might come out guns a-blazing tonight.
I'm behaved. So I think... I just want to give a personal story. So just because you have a plan doesn't mean your plan is good or your plan's current. An example, my father-in-law is deadly. If he gets stung by a bee, he'll die. So we were golfing a few years ago, and I said, "Hey, Dave, do you have an EpiPen? Where's your EpiPen?" "Oh, it's in my golf bag." So I wanted to know where it was in case he got stung. So I looked at it. It was like out of date by 10 years. So yeah, he has a plan. He's got an EpiPen, but it's no longer current. So you need to make sure you have a current plan and your plan is feasible. So, maybe just do a life check every now and then and make sure that things are still current.
A life check.
That's it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Do a life check. Man, I appreciate your time tonight. This is episode 2 of the Flannel Panel, and some great conversation tonight. I appreciate you guys putting on your flannel, getting your flannel on, and bringing some small-time thought to some big-time problems. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Go shovel some snow. No one's going to shovel any
Ciao.
snow. Ciao, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
Take care, guys. All right. Well, I'm just going to go to my end screen here. Lots of comments. I couldn't really keep up with everybody's comment tonight. But man, the panelists did a fantastic job. We'll come back next week with another topic, whether it's big or small. We'll address them all. I have to just turn some audio down because I've got these guys still in the background. I don't want to invade into their private conversations too much. So anyway, have a great night, folks. Cynthia, anything you want to just add before we kind of tune out tonight?
No, that's everything. I didn't have anything else to add from the couch.
From the couch. All right. Peace, love, coffee. Have a great night. We'll see you all next week.